The B-17 Flying Fortress was the backbone of America's air war over Europe. But flying in one meant staring death in the face every single day. Half of all crewmen were killed, wounded, or captured. Those who returned brought home stories that sound impossible. Tales of fire, steel, and survival against every law of flight. When the United States joined World War II, it teamed with Britain in a bold plan. Destroy Germany's ability to wage war from the air. Factories, railways, fuel depots, everything that kept the Nazi war machine running. And leading that assault was the B-17, the Flying Fortress. It was a monster of aluminum and firepower, 13.50 caliber machine guns, covering almost every angle of attack. From above, below, or behind, any fighter approaching a fortress faced a wall of bullets. But they needed every one of those guns. The U.S. believed in daylight precision bombing, tight formations, steady flight, perfect aim. It looked great on paper until the shooting started. In practice, 1 in 4 bombers never made it home. For the crews, the odds were even worse. German defenses were ruthless. Rings of 88mm and 105mm flak guns guarded every factory and city, guided by radar and fire control systems that predicted exactly where the bombers would be. As formations approached, the sky erupted in black smoke. Each puff meant a shell exploding at bomber height. A direct hit meant instant death. Even near misses shredded metal, fuel lines, and men alike. And the worst part, B-17s couldn't dodge. They had to hold formation, flying straight through the storm. Many aircraft never came back, but some that did became legends. The All-American February 1st, 1943. A bomber nicknamed All-American was returning from a mission over Tunisia when 2 German fighters attacked. One was shot down, the other spiraled out of control and crashed straight into All-American's tail. The collision nearly cut the aircraft in half. The rear section hung on by a few metal strips, swinging in open air. Yet somehow, it kept flying. The autopilot, engaged at the moment of impact, used electric servos instead of the destroyed control cables, giving the crew just enough to steer. Against every law of aerodynamics, All-American made it back to base. The crew walked away unhurt. The bomber was patched up and sent back into combat. Falling from the sky. Some weren't so lucky, yet still survived the impossible. In 1943, 20-year-old gunner Alan Magee was blown out of his B-17 at 20,000 feet, without a parachute. He crashed through the glass roof of a French train station. The angled panels slowed him just enough to live. Broken, burned, and riddled with shrapnel, Magee was captured, treated, and spent 18 months in a prison camp. He survived the war and lived to age 84. Others shared his miracle. Tail gunners Eugene Moran and James Lee both plummeted from the sky inside severed tail sections, crashing through forests that saved their lives. They too became prisoners, but lived to tell the tale. Lovely Julie's flight without a nose. October 15th, 1944. Over Cologne, a B-17 called Lovely Julie took a direct hit to the nose. The entire front of the plane disappeared. Pilot Lawrence Delancey sat exposed to the freezing wind at 20,000 feet. No instruments, no oxygen, no protection. Yet Delancey refused to bail out. He dove the crippled bomber to breathable air and flew low across Germany, navigating only by instinct. With no brakes, no flaps, and half the airplane missing, he somehow landed back in England. For that, he earned the Silver Star. The B-17 Flying Fortress was more than metal. It was courage shaped into wings. It carried men who faced the impossible, who stared into fire and flak and somehow made it home. They didn't just fight a war in the skies. They defined what survival meant.